Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time today to hang out with myself and the Cloudbakers team. We're really excited to have you here. This is our first webinar in an entire series that's all based on Google Chrome. I'm here with two of the Cloudbakers on our deployment team. They're really excited to share their knowledge with you. Just some little housekeeping items to get us started. This is being done through Hangouts on Air, so we're really excited to use more of the Google platform for the webinar itself. There is a way to ask questions throughout the presentation, so if you're looking at my face right now, in the top right corner there is a button that you should be able to press to ask questions. To let you know, there is a short delay, maybe 10-second lag. So as soon as you think of those questions, pop them in the Q&A panel so that we can make sure to get them answered before we eventually go off air. Once again, thank you for coming, and let's get started. So this is the first webinar of the Chrome management series. This one specifically is going to go over the basics of Chrome and why it matters for your organization. So again, I'm Ashley Kellenhofer. I head up this marketing department, which is a mixture of sales and marketing, and I am here with Tristan Dobbs and Jason Butler, both part of our Google deployment team. So yeah, they're really excited to share that knowledge with you today. All right, so in the next 45 minutes or so, we are going to cover what Google Chrome is, why you should use it for your organization, who in your organization does it work for, and finally, before we say goodbye, we're going to actually dive into a pretty in-depth live demo, so get excited for that. And at this time, I am going to pass it off to the guys.
Hey everybody, like Ashley explained, we're here today to cover Chrome, right? What Chrome is, what Chrome devices are, what problems they'll solve for the business, and who can benefit most from these devices. And we'll show you all of that today. We'll also be showing a live demo of some of Chrome's product line, especially some examples of how quick and easy changes can be made to a Chrome device remotely, whether the Chrome device is right next to us on the table or across the globe in one of our satellite offices. Right? So to get started, Jason's going to actually take you on an immersive journey through what Chrome is.
That's right, Tristan. Chances are, if you guys are joining us today, you already know what Chrome is. It's probably your favorite, most secure browser and where you live on your computer at work. You probably already have some sort of an idea of what Chrome devices are as well. Just to let you guys know, it's a device for work made to replace your existing expensive infrastructure and work directly within your cloud environment. This device does take many forms, from a conventional laptop to a small box that plugs directly into a monitor, and now to one of their newest devices, which is this little tiny device the size of a candy bar that plugs directly into an HDMI port on any sort of screen or monitor. So any screen these days can turn directly into a computer. And with these devices, you can use them for a bunch of different functions. One of them is, like I touched on before, was a primary device, which means that you can replace any traditional laptop. You can also set them up in a public session mode. So this is handy if you have a common area or anything like that. You can allow your users to have access to a specific app or just the internet itself without having to have people log in using a username or password. But you can also put in restrictions on this so people don't just have free reign over this device. Hopefully you all joined us a few months ago for our Chrome digital signage webinar. That's another way that you can use a Chrome device. And finally, you can set any device in Chrome to work as a kiosk. And they have kiosks that have certain specific functions to work for. Tristan will go into more details about companies and some functions of these kiosks here in a few minutes there.
Yeah, definitely. So that's basically everything that Chrome encompasses, which is a lot, right? Primary devices, using them for just digital signage, forcing applications to be sort of a one app interface. So we see that a lot when when you walk into the lobby of a organization and they have sign in here and it notifies whoever you're there to meet, or an application process, little computer set up so people can go into a retail location, fill out an application without actually getting access to the rest of the internet. The nice thing is you can push all this stuff out and it's pretty cheap, right? So now that we know what Chrome is, I want to kind of go over in detail how you can leverage Chrome for your company, like we are at ours. So with Chrome devices, it's really the end of buying expensive PCs or Macs or Linux machines and setting them up for hours, figuring out automatic updates, configuring network access, protecting local data, ensuring the overall maintenance of the device for the length of the device, installing virus protection because you know that users are going to compromise themselves, and then managing, 4 different types of laptops, all with their own intricacies and idiosyncrasies under your big IT belt, right? We don't want to have to worry about all these different types of devices with different setup and configuration and maintenance plans when we can just focus on one central console and one managed type of device.
Yeah, and the thing with Chrome devices is that they can cost from anywhere from about $200 to $1,000. Of course, this depends on the power of the device and the needs of the user. But if you keep in mind that a cheap PC these days is still running you about $600 to $700, and a cheap Mac is still about $1,200. So the idea is about saving near $1,000 on a device should be very intriguing for the entire business community these days. And Chrome devices have made some great advancements in the past year with interoperability with Microsoft products. And now with the power of VPNs and virtualization, a Chromebook can access all of your legacy applications or anything that can only work on a Mac or a PC and Mac can now work on Chrome.
Yeah, and with all of these devices, they're all managed from a central console, right? So that's the same Google Apps admin console that you're used to using day in and day out, that all of your admins are super familiar with. And if you don't already use it, the entire experience is super intuitive, very easy to learn, and still very powerful. So getting into using that and managing those devices is a big, big, big benefit, especially considering all the rigmarole that comes with managing Windows or Mac. Right? It's tougher. You don't have as much power. So they can be configured, adjusted on the fly after they're deployed, and disabled. In case anybody loses a machine or that machine is compromised, you can snap it off and disable it, or power wipe it, from your remote location. The nice thing too is that, like Jason was saying, we can push out a custom application to your company. So whether it's an app that your company has developed, an app that maybe we developed, and we want to push it out so that everybody's using it day in and day out, it's very easy. Actually, what you can do is force install it on everyone's computer, and they don't even have to worry about configuration. It's just going to show up. It might even show up as they're using their computer. So it's great. You can use different OUs and give different kind of varying levels of access to different people. So you create roles. You've got sales, HR, support, development, and when you create those different roles, assign somebody into one of those roles, and they get all the applications that are relevant to their job. And then as far as settings go, there's over, I think, 250 different settings that you can manage from the admin console. So complete power over everything that you're deploying to your people.
Yeah, and along with that, these days everybody is super concerned with security, and Chrome OS is rated the most secure platform out there at this time. At a recent security conference, Chrome was once again the target to beat for white hat hackers going after a security bounty. So Google is so confident in Chrome security that there's a $100,000 prize for anyone who can manage to find an exploit of any sort. And to this day, it has not been compromised. And because of this, you don't need to worry if every workstation has the most up-to-date virus protection anymore. You don't need to worry about users downloading a bad program like Tristan talked about that can take down your entire network like you used to be able to do in the past. And with Chrome, the problems of the past with Windows viruses are a distant nightmare. And so with all this free time from not having to micromanage all the aging devices, your IT team will have more time to innovate and improve current processes. And since Chrome devices utilize your current programs and websites and things like that, there is no additional learning involved for your users. So switching over to a new device should be very seamless. Lastly, the update process is very quick and seamless with this. You can set up staggered updates so your devices aren't all updating to the newest Chrome version at the same time, so it doesn't take so much bandwidth. So that's something very handy that Doodle's recently come out with. And IT admins can also test new releases before they're pushed out to the masses to make sure, just to verify that all your current programs and applications work correctly with the newest release. So now, Tristan, if you want to talk about a few of the different kinds of departments and positions that Chrome can specifically work for.
Yeah, definitely. Just to kind of give you a taste of what I'm about to talk about, anybody can use Chrome devices. Okay, when we talk about what devices, what roles are better suited to using Chrome devices versus the traditional devices, every one of us here at Cloudbakers is able to use a Chrome device day in and day out. We've all given it about a week's try, at the very minimum. And in fact, our founder, Mitch Greenwald, uses a Chrome device as his primary device every day. So. In addition to that, in our experience, there are a lot of HR users, sales personnel, and support staff that are early adopters as far as Chrome goes, right? And they use Chrome devices as their primary work computer. In fact, Netflix's entire support team uses Chromebooks every day as their primary driver to support all 75 million of their daily active users. So every one of those users using Netflix, which is a primarily internet-based company, are contacting Netflix support, who are deployed on a fleet of Chromebooks and able to support all of those people, no trouble at all.
Yeah, in addition to the support, like Tristan was just talking about, we have a lot of companies that have their entire sales team working in the cloud using Chromebooks. And we don't all know that salespeople are being pulled into so many different directions that their attention isn't always the best. So a lot of users don't need to have to learn a new system when they switch over to Chrome, so that's a good thing to keep in mind. And Chrome is so easy and intuitive to learn that anyone can know it just by picking it up the first time. So the good thing with the sales specifics, is that we can push out the apps and web pages that the users need on day one, so all they need to know is their username and password just to get right back into there.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Because the Chrome OS is primarily based on the Chrome browser, which is something that, realistically, most of your sales personnel for sure, support staff, HR, and probably most everybody in your organization is at least familiar with. It's a very popular browser, and it's definitely the best for working with cloud-based applications. So the learning curve is very small because everybody already knows how to use Chrome. The Human Resources Department, like I said, is another huge group of Chrome adopters. Because that job, human resources, is basically based on this idea of continued education, making sure that everybody's always up to date on the newest policies, laws, and things like that. Being on the bleeding edge or at least up to date is key to their role. So Chrome devices just seem to make sense, right? ADP and other HR platforms, they're all based on the cloud and they're used a lot these days. So when you're onboarding new human resources personnel, all it takes is being able to push out those bookmarks, push out those apps, and get those necessary tools deployed to their account. So by the time they log in on their first day, they have access to everything that they need. All that needs to be done is to move that newly created HR user into the specific OU, my HR role, and everything that they needed is automatically kind of deployed to the Chromebook. So it's there the first time they log in, and even if they're logged in, by the time you move them into that role, it just pops up right in front of their eyes. So speaking about onboarding new users, we wanted to show you how easy it is to set up a new Chrome device for your users at work, right? Instead of opening a new machine, getting all those manual software installs going, turning on and off settings, testing connectivity, working with automatic updates, again, virus protection is a big problem, getting all that stuff ready, per machine, or at least deploying an image, takes a lot of time. Chrome deployments are basically configured around this idea of getting people up and running in minutes. Okay? Even if you're writing a standard image of a Windows machine to a Windows device, if you're doing 25 to 50 of those, it can take days just to get the whole fleet ready to push out to people. With Chrome devices, you can deploy and enroll those people within just a few minutes and be done with those machines. So we do a lot of these things called white glove deployments, where we've got the right software. You basically plug in this USB key into each device. It enrolls it in the domain. It configures the right policies. It even presets up some of the wireless settings and VPN settings. We just put it back in the box. The whole thing takes less than 5 minutes per machine. And by the time the user comes in to get their machine, you just hand them a fresh box and say, "Here's your computer." It's pretty baffling when they go like, "That's it. I got to unpack it myself." But by the time they get in, everything's already there for them. They log in with their username and password that they've been given. They have access to Gmail, all the tools that you pushed out, calendar. The entire experience is pre-configured for them, so they don't have to worry about anything.
Even their Wi-Fi settings are pre-configured, so they don't have to enter a SSID or a password for that. It's automatically syncs right up.
Yeah, and you can push those out. If you wanted to push out a wireless network setting change to an entire office, and you're worried about, okay, well, if I change the password, then I have to go to each computer and change the wireless settings, or I have to at least check in, and then chances are people are going to come to me with, all their other devices and things like that. You can push out those policies ahead of time. Add another wireless network, and then snap it off and change it, at the location so that their Chrome device already knows, oh, here's the next wireless network. Very, very easy, and it's really great to be able to manage those processes from a central location. Day one or afterwards, you can push these policies out just from, like I said, the admin console. So it just works, no matter what type of device. In fact, speaking of devices, I kind of wanted to go over some of the different devices that we have and that you can use. I mentioned that there are a lot of different types of Chrome devices, but the nice thing is they all run the standard OS, and they're all exactly the same from a user experience perspective. They have everything all the way from a Chrome base, which is an all-in-one monitor and computer, keyboard and mouse all in one unit. You just plop it on someone's desk, they log in, they're ready to go. Next one down is a Chromebook. Jason actually brought our Chromebook Pixel in. Now the Chromebook Pixel is like the Cadillac of Chromebooks. It's the most. It's like they took the idea of, if we had to spend the most amount of money that we could on a computer, what would that Chromebook look like? But the nice thing is Chromebooks can be as cheap as $200 to $250. So realistically, if somebody were to dump this off a bridge or lose it or run over it in their car, you could just buy a new one or give them one of the ones that are laying around. They run the gamut as far as price, but they're really easy to deploy and manage and not worry about.
I do hate when I drop my computer in the bridge.
Yeah. So the next one down here is the Chrome base, right? Probably not bridge-worthy because it just sits behind any monitor. But it's got all the regular inputs for a normal computer. So it's got USB, HDMI, DisplayPort, Ethernet. There's a little Wi-Fi dongle on, Bluetooth dongle on here. It's really compact. There's even a card reader here. So the whole thing's inside this little box. It's got an i7 processor. It's actually really speedy considering that Chrome OS doesn't take very much to run at all. And this, you just set it down where any normal computer would go, plug it in with the right cables, and they're ready to go. Actually, the next one down here, this is one that could fall out and get run over by your car. This is called a Chrome Bit. It's basically the size of an Amazon Fire TV stick, really tiny. You can plug it into the back of any monitor with HDMI, and the Chrome OS just pops up, right? It's got Bluetooth for peripherals, but there's also a USB port here, so you can plug anything that you need into it. And the nice thing is, whether I plug this in, give them a Chromebook, they're not really going to know the difference at all. None of this matters to them. It's really just from your perspective, what fits the space better. So let's see here. Now that we covered the different types of devices, I kind of wanted to show, let's see, basically how you would manage those in your environment. So I'm going to kick it over to Jason.
Yeah, so I'm going to go through a little demo here that we're going to push out an app over to our Chromebook Pixel here that Tristan just showed you. So yeah, let me just get this pulled up here. The first thing you need to make sure that you have in place in order to manage any sort of Chrome devices, you do need to have a Chrome management license purchased for your domain. So we need to make sure we have those already set up. And then you need to make sure that you get a specific device enrolled, which is super easy to do. It can, like Tristan was saying before, this can all be taken care of in the white glove setup. So we just need to make sure the device is enrolled. So we already have this one enrolled here. So let me just show you some of the options here. So let me present here.
So Jason's going to share a screen and show us that admin panel. If you've done a little bit of exploring in your own, you'll see that the admin panel looks exactly the same. If you manage mobile devices already, this is exactly the same interface, right? So we're just going to show you Chromebook specific how we can manage those.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, if you've ever logged into your Google admin panel before, if you're a Google Apps customer, it's pretty much the same thing. So we pull it up here. We want to go over to device management. And then you'll see we have 2 Chrome devices enrolled. So if you didn't have any licenses or anything like that, you wouldn't be able to click on this option here. So that lets you know that you are good to go for managing your Chrome. But I want to go over here, come over to my Chrome management section. And then I want to come over to our user settings. You see we have a different organizational units set up here, so we can come over here to the specific OU that I know this Chromebook is currently set up into, which is this Chromebook. So I pull that up, and you see there's a bunch of different options here. I'm not going to go through anything here specifically. We'll be going over all this in a later date. But the one feature that I'm interested in right here is called Force Install Apps and Extensions. So I want to come over here. You see right now we're not forcing any apps or extensions to any of our Chrome devices. But if I just want to turn one of these on, I can come over here. You see it pops up a new window, so I can come over here. I can choose from the Chrome Web Store, or if we have any apps specifically set up for our domain, we can do that. We can also specify a custom app. So if we have a custom app, we can publish it privately on the Chrome Web Store and get access to it right here and push out to our users. But if I come over here right now, Tristan, what app should I push out here?
So I was thinking on the Chromebook that we have here, we don't have Slack installed. You know, and if you've ever used Slack, it's a chat application that has its own app on the Chrome Web Store. So you know, like Jason just showed it right here, it's easy to just search for that and find the one you're looking for.
Yep, so you see I just clicked on that Chrome Web Store and I just typed in the Slack and it gave me a bunch of different options. Slack is the first one that I want here, but if I wanted to make sure, I could click on details and get more information about it, but I know this is the one I need. So I just click on Add, and we're all set here. So I just click on Save. I always need to make sure you hit Save. And then since I made a change to this overarching organizational unit, I need to hit Save in the admin panel as well. So I just click on that. So the changes should be instantaneous here. So if Ashley can pull up, present here for our Chromebook.
Okay.
So let me go to the launcher here. Now let's see if it's there. So the thing with Chromebooks is that there is a refresh cycle. So it refreshes its apps every 3 hours. You can also do a force refresh. So if I just pull that up and I do a reload, you see it popped up in the bottom here in the tray. And if I go here to search my all apps, Slack is shown up. So you see how quick and easy it is to get everything pulled up and showing right where you need it to be.
Cool thing about that update schedule is it's a rolling 3 hours, right? So when changes are made, you know, it could happen, you know, like we talked about earlier, right before someone's very eyes, and you know, worst case scenario, if they need access to that the minute that you push it out, it's really easy to get that going. That's great. So now we have this super handy feature and the security of knowing basically who has access to what apps and web pages without having to worry. You know, we just showed off pushing out one app to a particular organization or a particular user role or anything like that. You know, we could also restrict apps. So if we're really concerned that people are using Slack to communicate during work when they should be using Hangouts or something like that, it's easy to restrict that or blacklist that app, so we're making sure that people don't kind of go crazy with installing different things on their Chromebooks, okay? This is all about managing the experience. You can completely tailor it down to exactly what you need, or you can kind of manage by exception and say, okay, maybe we don't want, you know, this crazy app that somebody made, right? Very, very safe. You know, on a Windows or Mac, you kind of, you have to wait until there's a problem, somebody comes to you and says, like, look, I broke my computer, you know, and then solve it from there. So this is a good way to configure everything at a time. So thanks for showing off that pushing out the app, Jason. Hopefully this overview has given you a better idea of what Chrome is, how it can enhance your organization, really add to what you're doing, especially from an IT standpoint. The business world is changing all the time, so Chrome has positioned itself to be the best of the major OSs and adjust really quickly if needed. Again, like everything else Google does, there are always more improvements coming out. I think, you know, in the last year, Google's pushed out over 1,000 updates to all of its services across the board. Chrome OS has been no slacker when it comes to all of those updates and extra features. Some of the stuff we showed here today wasn't available a month ago. Yep. So there's a lot that's going on there. So you'll never get really stuck in this 10-year hardware replacement cycle because everything's always going to be up to date as the newest version.
Yep, so that's the basics of Chrome, like Tristan was just saying, and hopefully you guys can tune in next time. We're going to have another episode here in 2 weeks. We'll be covering all the different things you can do with all this power that we've gone over today. We're going to talk about settings, apps, extensions, security, and best practices in great detail in all those subjects. So yeah, I hope you guys can join us again for that next episode.
Yeah, and in that coming session, then some of the next sessions, we're going to go over a lot of those 250 settings. So if you really want to get down and nerdy with us, join us for that.
All right. Thank you so much, you guys. Liked that last little comment, down and nerdy. Pretty funny. But yeah, so hopefully you all are able to take something away from this presentation. Like I said at the very beginning, feel free to ask questions. Again, to get into the question and answer panel, click the button at the top right portion of the screen. And I know there's a little bit of a lag, so we'll hang around here just for a little bit. I do have one question though. So Jason, Tristan, are there certain size organizations that need to be looking into this, or is it really, is there a prime range of employees?
I think from my perspective, honestly, no. Like the simple answer is no. We see a lot of larger organizations go department by department pushing these out. First the whole sales team gets them, then all of HR gets them, and so on and so forth. But like we mentioned, right, Netflix has thousands of employees that are using Chromebooks day to day, and they're huge. We also help a ton of our smaller companies that we help with day to day on using them for a 5-person company where they all have them, or a 5,000-person company that has departments. So because everything's managed from a central console, those pushes, those deployments are very easy, and the time to deploy isn't really increased at all with just because there's more people.
Yeah, I agree. I think Chromebooks work for pretty much any size organization these days, because I think it's just a lack of knowledge. People don't really truly understand what Chromebooks can do and how easy they are to use. So once people get over that hurdle, it's a good option for most people these days.
I agree.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. I have not seen any other questions in the panel right now. Feel free, we have the slide up here right now with the chrome@cloudbakers.com email. Feel free, if you want to email this address, this will go straight to myself, Tristan, and Jason, so you won't just be emailing me and I'll have to get info from them. You can email them directly, which is kind of cool. So feel free to use that, and once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.